Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Profluence Sports. Staying in the youth sports space, have a man, Jake Deane, here today from True Lacrosse. Jake, what is up? And appreciate you coming on.
What's up, man? How are you? Thanks for taking the time.
Doing good. A lot of travel in September, but trying to fit in these great conversations here and there. So it's a good one. It's fun time to be in the space. Obviously, we've had IMG and Ryan Silver and Weatherford and Unrivaled. We're doing all these. So cool to see sort of the middle layer of the people actually building the space, meaning you guys. So I'm excited for this one.
No, that's great. And I appreciate you taking the time. Watched a few of your videos or on your podcast, and you guys are doing a great job helping educate people out there on the youth sports space.
Love it. So I guess just to start off, give us the high level overview. Who are you? And, what are you guys building at True Lacrosse? And then we'll start to dive into the fun stuff.
Yeah, no, great. So I'm Jake Deane, born and raised in Annapolis, Maryland. Grew up playing the sport of lacrosse. Loved every bit of it. Lucky enough to go on to play college and play professionally for a very long time. During my time playing professionally, I met one of my teammates, Mike Gable, and he became my business partner, and we started True Lacrosse. This was back in 2008. We started with one club team in Chicago, and we were really passionate about training and developing players. That's always been our number one passion. In 2008, there weren't really a lot of, club teams around or youth sports programs. And we took a group of high school kids and started training them. And we went out east to go play in front of a lot of great college coaches. And they all ended up getting recruited to go on to play at the next level. That kind of blossomed our program True to move forward. And we started, growing it in the Midwest and then expanding to other states around the country to where we are today. And today we have around 14,000 members that play for us year round. We have around 200 full-time employees that work for us. And we're in 25 different states and 60 different cities with lacrosse programming, events, leagues, camps, all that type of good stuff. And recently we just partnered up with TZP, a private equity firm out of New York City, to become their youth sports platform and we'll be changing our name from True Lacrosse to True Sports. And we'll be focusing on lacrosse and volleyball. So we're very, very excited about that opportunity and, our partnership with them and where we're going to take the company from here. So
I love it. And going back, do you see, let's say you're starting from scratch again today in 2025, do you think there's still gaps in the market to go really get in, and maybe not lacrosse, but other sports in general? Like, do you still see this as an opportunity for anyone looking to, go through the journey, or how much has that evolved or changed since 2008?
I think, look, like if you have a passion for coaching, training, and developing players, I think the way the youth sports business is, developing and growing, there's an opportunity for you to make a full-time career out of this, if that's something that you're interested in. If you're looking to do something like what we did, where we started a program and then grew it around the country, part of that was timing was right. So that may be a little bit more difficult, but if you love coaching, you love training, and you love developing players, you can make this your career and either find, really good platforms like a True or someone else to align yourself with, or, you could start a small little program on your own, which, there'll be growing pains with that, but you can do that. But if you want to make this career, there's a way to do it. So
yeah. And how did you go about then from coaching and training in one team? What did the scaling look like? Obviously there's a lot of years in between where you are today and being in the weeds, but what did that look like? How did you learn from it? What was that always the plan?
So we started the company in 2008. Both my partner and I, Mike Gable, we quit our jobs and we moved in together into a one bedroom, unit in Lincoln Park, Chicago. All right. And we really just said, hey, screw it. We're going to go all in on doing this. And for the next 7 years, we just lived together. And every penny we made back into the every penny we made, we put it back into the company just to continue to grow and continue to build. We didn't take salaries. We were definitely not living the life of maybe a lot of youth sports operators are living now. We were more just living in this 1-bedroom apartment, taking the money that we made to go out and expand elsewhere. And there were a lot of growing pains from the point of, hey, we losing money, or we had employees that left us, or hey, this program didn't work out when we decided to move there. And so, my partner and I, we didn't go to Ivy League schools. We were just extremely, passionate about what we were doing. And we like to think we have a lot of grit, and we were just going to continue to keep moving forward to build what we like to think is, the top training and development program, one of the top training and development programs out there. But we came from a place where we started the company with $100, and we didn't have any private equity funding behind us. And we did that for the past 18 years. So just reinvesting.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, no, it's a super cool story. And I want to go back on one thing. You said not living the life of a lot of youth sports operators today.
Yeah.
I guess what do you mean by that? Just in the sense of
look, like a lot of youth sports operators, again, today it's a little bit different. You can work for a bigger platform. You can have Ks, you can have benefits, you can have a salary that's committed to you every 2 weeks. You're getting paid. When we started our company, like, we started with one team, and we were paying, all of our money went to our rent. It went to all the food that we were going to eat. And then it went back into regrowing the company. So there wasn't a lot of security. There was a lot more risk. And, we had our ups and we had our downs. All right. And there were some days where it was like, what are we doing? And then there were some days where like, all right, let's keep going. And we decided to keep going.
Yep. And so you go through this a lot, just reinvesting. When's the light bulb switch of, recently to take in some, I guess you're going to call it private equity money. Obviously, I don't know. And I don't think you would disclose sort of what the deal looks like, but is that to like take some chips off the table? Is it to really just grow and expand? Is it to, how are you viewing that? Or what was the change in the ecosystem or mindset, or where's the frame of mind with that recently?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of private equity people reach out to us, okay, about, hey, why don't you come on board? Why don't you do this? And so forth. For us, we never wanted to just be an add-on to a private equity group. And what I mean by an add-on was, hey, we're going to roll underneath their platform company, and then they're going to add all these different synergies to our business, and then hopefully roll it up, all right, and eventually get a second exit. We wanted to be our own platform and align with a private equity group that believed that we were the right people to run the platform. Okay. And so in order to be able to do that, we had to get our company to a certain scale, which not many youth program operators will probably get to unless they're willing to take a lot of risk. And we took a lot of risk. All right. And we found a private equity group that really believed in us as people, believed that, hey, you guys are the right people to run the platform because you guys have built it from the ground up and you understand what a typical business operator in youth sports is going through on a day-to-day basis. And when we found that group, TZP, that's made it really exciting for us, because now we can go out and relate to other operators who are building from the ground up, because that's where we came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And on the risk, you said you'd taken a lot of risk, like any specific examples or where you see, because risk is relative in a lot of different lights or conversations. I'm just curious where you think, or like what your mindset around risk was.
Yeah, I mean, look, like most people in youth sports, in their business, they're taking distributions. Okay. And so at the end of the year, they'll be like, all right, the company made $100,000. I'm going to go put that into my personal bank account. Whereas us, it was like, all right, the company made $100,000. We didn't pay ourselves anything, but we're going to go take that $100,000 and we're going to go grow into another state, or we're going to go hire someone to come on board and start a new program. Okay. And that was our mentality for 18 years. And it's still our mentality today. We are big growth guys. We believe in the youth sports space, and again, it's risk. It's a risk for us the way that we operate, but yeah, I mean, it's something that's the way we've been able to do, and that's
Yep.
how we've been able to get our company to where it is today.
Yeah. So more like personal risk, I guess, is sort of how you're framing it. When you, and obviously it's just a number example, but let's say you have that extra profit at the end of the year. When you look back, what were some of the things you put that towards? Is that opening up a new city, a new team, hiring someone? What did that
Yeah,
usually look
I
like?
mean, most of the years it wasn't a lot of profit. I mean, we go and open up a new program in a new state. We hire a new person, invest in a facility, bring on new people to help with our marketing, or again, like a lot of people in youth sports, will look at the year and like want to take the money they made and put back into their bank account, where we took every penny and we just said double down. All right, and let's continue to grow. Okay, and that's that. We always had a vision of getting our company to a certain place and taking it to a certain level, and it was never about running just one event or having a couple teams. We wanted to create the best youth sports platform for training and developing players, and in order to do that, you gotta take some risks.
Yeah, I agree. From scaling and growth perspective, do you think you've gone to where you want to get? Like where ultimate is it, every sport? Like, I'm just curious of how you saw it at the beginning. Always things progress a little differently than we think. You
Yeah,
jump in here twice as long, twice as much money, but like where, from a vision standpoint, are you, or how far have you come from?
yeah. I think youth sports can make a huge impact on a kid's life. I think when a kid gets great coaching, gets great training, gets great mentorship, gets great development, like those things can make such a difference in a kid's life. And I think for us, we want to continue to keep evolving our model to be able to continue to help more and more kids in the youth sports space. And now that we have a great partner with TZP, getting into other sports like volleyball, maybe different sports down the line, it's something we're going to be very passionate about. And we're going to stay in this for as long as we can because we love what we do. Everybody that works in our company has been a coach, has been a trainer, has been someone who's helped develop, multiple athletes, because we all love what we do. And the more we can create a ecosystem that provides top-notch development, and if we can bring that to other sports, that's going to be something that's very exciting for us. So
Yeah. And when you look at youth sports in general, obviously you're expanding into volleyball, you've been in lacrosse. Where do you see some opportunities, or where do you see not only opportunities, but in reverse, like some oversaturated areas? How do you look at it from a sport perspective or sport specific perspective across the ecosystem?
yeah, I think people are driven a little bit too much by the marketing and the stuff that they see on social media right now, where they need to be driven a little bit more about with substance. And when I talk about substance, I talk about following great coaching and great training and great development. And I think that's missed a lot in youth sports. When you look at, there's obviously a lot of great groups out there that provide great training, great coaching, great development. But there's also a lot of things out there that, are marketed about that and saying they are going to provide that, but they really don't. Okay. And so I think, education in the youth sports space is extremely important, and you got to follow great coaching, great training, and great development. And that's what we're going to double down on. We want to find great people that really fit our culture, that are great coaches, great developers that want to grow with a larger company. And youth sports is all about the people that you have working for you. And so I think there's an opportunity. I think people in this space want more of that. And they feel disappointed sometimes when they get marketed a product that says they're going to have that, but then it really doesn't.
Yeah, there's definitely some gaps or divides in the youth sports ecosystem, and I especially saw that coming up through basketball, and just that ecosystem's crazy. Now, how do you look at, obviously lacrosse you played, so that's an easy natural evolution. Now, when you look at a volleyball, like what are you looking for to now start expanding to other sports? What are some of the stats or categories that make one sport more appealing versus another to, ultimately take into? And then like slight follow on to that is like True Lacrosse is the name. Are you guys going to go through a rebrand, or how do you think about that as you expand?
No, I think from a branding standpoint, every operator has put a ton of time into building their brand and building their product, right? So obviously, with the umbrella company being called True Sports, if someone wants to use the True name, they're more than happy to. If someone doesn't want to use the True name, we have no ego when it comes to that. We know a lot of time and a lot of effort has been put into place to build that brand to where it is. I think for us, the number one thing we look for is great people. Okay. And when we talk about great people, we talk about, all right, when I come and watch you run a practice and I come and watch your product, which is your coaching, training, and development, like, what am I going to walk away saying about you in those three different categories? Do you bring a ton of energy? Do you bring we have something here called a pure approach. Do you bring a ton of passion? Do you bring a ton of energy? Do you bring a ton of expertise to what you're teaching? And are the kids getting a ton of reps? Okay. And so for us, when we find operators and business owners that bring that to the table, well, then that's like, all right, let's have a serious sit down conversation and, see if there's a way to work together on a higher level. In lacrosse and volleyball, they're two really great sports, and there are high profit margins in both those sports. Okay. But for us, the product is always the most important. And we want to work with groups that have great product when it comes to training, development, and coaching. So,
Yeah. How do you see the space as a whole, like youth sports as a whole? Where's it at right now? Obviously, like you said, we see a lot on social media. There's a lot of people, and it seems to go in, peaks and valleys, this space, at least from just a headline perspective of like, oh, it's so hot, and you see a huge PE rush or a huge rush, and then it slows down and you don't hear about it for a little bit. Right now it seems to be one of those really hot times where everyone's like, oh, this is the space to be in. How do you view it? What are you seeing? What would you call the state of youth sports today?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of consolidation. I do think a lot of youth sports operators are uneducated when it comes to private equity. They don't understand like how their business is going to be valued, and it's going to be valued how 99.9% of other service businesses are going to be valued. You're going to be valued based off of your EBITDA. Okay. You're going to probably be valued at a 4 times to 6 times multiple. And unless you're a platform business that's doing over $30 million in revenue, which 99.9% of youth sports business aren't. Okay. And so, youth sports operators, if you're interested in, partnering with a lot larger PE group or partnering with a platform business like True Sports or some of these other groups like Rocket or something else, three step, you got to understand when you got to prepare yourself for what those discussions are going to be like. Okay. And set your expectations to be realistic, because, having you go in there with, different expectations is not always right. But yeah, it's very simple when it comes to the multiples that are, youth sports companies are going to be getting, and, it's done off of EBITDA. So,
Yeah. And I guess, do you see people overvaluing themselves? Is that sort of what you're getting at from an education perspective, where you guys are coming in or one of these other groups and the operators just seem to want way more, like they think they're much more valuable than they are, or where's the disconnect?
I think the disconnect is a lot of these people are coaches. Like, they're coaches. They built businesses based off of being great coaches and great people out on the field. Okay. They've never sold a business before. All right. So they don't understand, like, hey, like, I'm going to sell my business. And, whoever I'm selling it to is probably going to end up selling that business in the future. Okay. So for them to be able to get their money back and to be able to go sell it at hopefully a higher multiple, they're going to have to buy you guys at a certain multiple. And this is a service business. Okay. kids can come and go from club to club, tournament to tournament. And based on a service business, most businesses are getting sold at, from a 4 to 6 times multiple. And that's just the normality for what we're in from an M&A standpoint.
Yeah. And as you see platforms like yourself and some of these other ones come in and start to, like you said, consolidate some of the space, where do you see that going next? Like, where do you see youth sports in 5 to 10 years? Do you see, I'll just leave it open-ended. I was going to budge in myself a little bit, but I'll let you go.
Yeah, I think youth sports is definitely a business. I think it's going to be ran by private equity in the next 5 to 10 years. I think there's going to be a lot of money put into youth sports, programming, facilities, tournaments, events, real estate. Like, I think it's very tough for it's going to be tough for that mom and pop, great youth sports company that's operating as a standalone to be able to survive, even though I think they are probably great at what they do. And I know they're probably great at what they do. It just becomes tough when, you have so many people that are consolidating and now working together. So, I believe that since youth sports is hot right now, getting into the industry and actually, going through a process with a private equity group could be a good thing, because it's a hot topic right now. It's a hot market right now. And, there could be valuations on certain youth sports properties that are higher than what I mentioned. So, because the market's hot.
Yeah. Then what? When that happens, which it seems inevitable at this point, when it all becomes professionalized or, rolled up, what does it look like? Like, what's it better, just different? I guess, like, what people are always asking that question, like, what's the visual of it then? Is it all still pretty much the same? It's just owned by a few groups? Is it cheaper? Is it more expensive? Are there more brand? What's sort of the visual, or what are some of the changes that it
I think
brings?
it will be better. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit more expensive, but I do think it will be better because it'll be more professionalized. There will be more opportunity for these operators to work together and collaborate together to make better products for their customers. I think it will add more legitimacy to some of these, different youth sports, like lacrosse. It's the wild, wild west still. Volleyball, there's becoming a little bit more legitimacy like soccer, but it's still a little bit of the wild, wild west. All right. So I think it will just add more professionalism, and yes, things might be a little bit, people always look at costs in youth sports, but I just think that the type of products and events these kids will be able to get to take part in will be really top notch. So, and great for their development.
Yeah, super cool. Anything else, Jake, that we didn't touch on that you want to call out or point out?
No, yeah, I mean, look, like, I think youth sports is like you said, it's very hot right now. I think people should all take a look at what it might look like from a private equity standpoint for them. I think just being educated when you go into the process is really important. And look, like, I think like an operator. All right. So I know what it's like to get a phone call at 10 p.m. at night from a parent that's upset about playing time, because that's what I've done and dealt with my whole life. So I'm always open to talking to youth sports operators and owners about, like, hey, how they should approach the process, what type of expectations they should expect, and go from there. But I think it's a great opportunity right now, since the market is hot, to take a look at what it might look like to be part of a platform business. So,
Love it. Where can people learn more? True Lacrosse, True Sports, where sort of the web domain?
we will be at the League Apps conference coming up here in October. That will be our launch of True Sports. And yeah, you could go to True Lacrosse right now, www.truelacrosse right now, and we'll be launching our website on October 1st for True Sports.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Jake, appreciate you coming on. And yeah, everyone make sure to check that out. And then timing-wise, will be a little before then, but we'll make sure people know about the True Sports side.
All right, perfect. I appreciate it, Andrew.